brothers and sisters, today I want to talk to you about the profound and counterintuitive truth that is at the heart of the gospel, that strength can be found through suffering. In a world that often values ease, comfort, and convenience above all else, this idea can be difficult to accept. We naturally recoil from pain and hardship, and we often do everything in our power to avoid them. But the gospel tells us that suffering is not only inevitable, but it can also be the source of strength and growth. As the Apostle Paul writes, we also glory in our sufferings because we know the suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. Romans 5:3-4. That is not to say that suffering is enjoyable or desirable in of itself, but rather it is to say suffering can be redeemed and transformed into something beautiful and powerful. Think, for example, of Jesus himself, who suffered and died on the cross for our sins. His suffering was not weakness, but rather the ultimate expression of his love for strength. As the Gospel John tells us, greater love has no one other than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. In the same way, we suffer for the sake of others, or for the sake of our faith. We are not weakened, but rather strengthened. This is because suffering has a way of purifying motivations and intentions. As the Apostle Peter writes, these have come from proven genuineness of your faith, or greater worth than gold, which perish even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. 1 Peter 1:7. In other words, suffering is like a fire that refines and purifies our faith, making it stronger and more resilient. So let us not be afraid of suffering, but rather let us see it as an opportunity for growth and transformation. Let us follow an example of Jesus, who suffered and died for our sins and who raised from the dead to give us new life. And let us remember the words of Apostle Paul, who wrote, I want to know Christ, yes, to know power of his resurrection and participation in his suffering, becoming like him in his death, and so somehow attaining to the resurrection from the dead. Philippians 3:10 and 11. May we too know the power of Christ's resurrection, that we may be strengthened through our sufferings as we follow him.